Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am Charmaine, and this is my journey out of depression through Christ. I was raised in a Christian home all of my life, born into a Christian home, and I suffered from debilitating depression most of my life. And I was an adult before I knew exactly what it was that I was suffering from or that I was actually suffering. So I just like to chronicle my journey to encourage others and to include things like, because once you take back your life or your life is given back to you, I like to talk about things like cooking and foods that help combat depression and fashion. We're going to do some of that. And I do interviews with people, and I just like to have a little fun and while spreading God's word and spreading the good news that He loves you, He cares about you, because there was a time that I didn't think that, and that He's coming back soon. So that's a little bit about me if you're new here. And today we're going to talk about CTAs, call to actions. A lot of you may know what that means. Whenever you get an email or there's an advertisement for something on the I don't know if people watch TV anymore, but TV or any kind of advertisement, there usually is some kind of call to action, which means wanting you to do something, like actively do something. So that got me thinking, and I have written throughout my Bible things that call to act CTAs that we actually have, that God has given us, because He wants us to participate in our healing always. He gives us the tools, because when we participate, then it keeps us active and not keep and it keeps our minds from dwelling on the things that the enemy wants us to dwell on, which are only lies, because he's the father of lies. So I'm going to go over some CTAs that the Lord brought to my attention and that I marked in my Bible, to try to always remember. But before I do that, I wanted to read you something. I was scrolling last night looking for a few things, and I came across this man named Nick Saban, Saban. A lot of you probably know who he is. I didn't. He's a coach. Um, but it was what he said that really made me go, wow, this is really this is really something. You can apply this to every aspect of life. And I just loved it. I thought to myself, I wish someone had said that to me um, when I was younger, because I was a child when I first started suffering, um, but just in general. So I'm going to read you some of what he said. It was called, he called it The Importance of Nothing. And he said, you get up every day, you're entitled to nothing. Nobody owes you nothing. You could have talent, but if you don't have discipline and you don't execute, you don't focus, what do you get? Nothing. If you're complacent and not paying attention to detail, what does that get you? Nothing. Nothing is acceptable but your best. And then he said, um, we need to accept anything but our best, need to not accept anything but our best. We need not to accept anything but our best. Anyway, he said that, and I actually listened to it uh, several times, because it made me think of me and my journey, um, when I was figuring out what was going on with me, and or even before I was figuring it out, when I was just trying to figure out why I was feeling this way, or why I was acting this way, and trying to um figure it out. And I spent a lot of days under the covers. I have a video that talks about that, and I'll talk again one day. Under the covers, doors closed, shades drawn, and calling in sick to work or not going to church, which I did every Sabbath, but there were days that I didn't because I was so depressed or feeling so like there was an oppressive spirit, which there was, I realize now, on my chest, and I just couldn't move. But I didn't get up and do anything. And then once I came back, gave my heart to the Lord, I surrendered to Him. He really started showing me, although I know He was trying to show me before, but my mind opened and I could see these CTAs. So I don't sit around and do nothing, and don't execute, don't focus. Um, and I had become very complacent, very complacent. I had just decided, this is my life, this is what's going on. I can't do anything right. I can't. All these lies that the enemy was feeding me. I this doesn't work. It's just because it's me, and just something wrong with me. I had all these things in my head, so I was very complacent. Um, I wasn't paying attention to detail. That's one of the things he says here. And I just heard him say this, and I loved the way he said it. He was just very, very matter of fact. And it was just like, if you do this, you're going to do nothing. You're going to get nothing. And nobody owes you anything. So you have to get up and you have to do something to get something. And the Bible is very clear on that the Lord does say, when He was talking to um, when He saved the children, from the children of Israel from Egypt, brought them out, and He started talking about giving them, like, His, what He does, His character, showing things. One of the things He said in many chapters is about, if you do something, um, you're going to get something for it. So that's just in a nutshell. It's whatever you do, there's going to be some kind of repercussion, whether it's good or bad. Okay. So if you do nothing, you get nothing. So if you want something, you really do have to do something. And yes, the Lord, He gives us His power to act, but we have to decide to take that power. We have to decide, no matter how we feel, this is something that I'm hoping someone is listening to and needs this, because I was there. I went a lot by my feelings, because there were days I just didn't want to get up and do anything, because I felt that would equate to nothing. But it's just the opposite. If we get up and we get up trusting in the power He's given us, and even if we don't, because when I first started getting up, I was mad at God. I was just like, you put me in this spot. So, but when I decided to give Him another chance, um, it was real, like, this is it. You better do something. You better do something. But I moved forward. He will honor our moving forward, because He loves us and He wants us to be with Him. He wants to spend eternity with us. So when we move forward, um, He activates even more power, and He starts opening up things. And anyway, just let Him move. When you move forward, no matter what, even if you don't feel like moving forward, just do that and watch Him work. Okay, so here are some calls to action. And I'm taking this from the Bible, it's all from the Bible. Okay, and this is just a few, because I had a whole lot. So, okay. So, Psalms 34, I have a lot. Psalms 34, when I was really in my depressive states and started to read, actually, it was when I was reading, and then before I gave up on God. But I went back to Psalm 34. Psalm 34 was very special to me. It was just something about it that made it was just something about it. I don't know. So Psalm 34:10, the verse says, "The young lions lack and suffer hunger, but those who seek the Lord shall not lack any good thing." Seek the Lord. The action verb, that the verb there is seek. We have to seek the Lord. When we seek him, and it's not just 5 minutes of prayer, although if that's all you have at that moment and you need him, believe me, I've done that. But we have to make a concerted effort to get up, whether it's really, really early in the morning, if you have a lot going on, if you have a lot of people in your house, or um, and then at night too. But you have to make an effort to seek the Lord, even if that's just opening your Bible and saying you're going to read a chapter a day or 2 chapters a day or whatever. You're seeking the Lord, and He will honor that. That's what I started doing. I just started seeking Him, not realizing I was seeking Him because I was mad at Him, but I was seeking something, and He made me realize what I was seeking was Him. Okay, because I needed a base, a foundation. Um, so that's verb number one. Um, and here's two verbs in the same verse. So we're still in Psalms 34. So verse 11, "Come, you children, listen to me." So I wrote down come and listen, and that's we have to come to the Lord and then be willing to listen, because when we're seeking Him, I used to listen to people say, "Oh, I heard the Lord say this," or "The Lord told me that," and I would go, "Really, really?" But let me tell you, when you're seeking the Lord and you're communicating him with him through his word every day, you hear stuff. You do. Whether he does it audibly, which I have audibly heard him say things to me, at least I know for a fact at least once, no, twice. Okay? Or whether he brings it to, that could have been an angel, whatever. I knew it was divine, or whether he brings it through another person. When you start seeking the Lord, you learn his character. So you learn when things are from him and when they're not, because you may have people trying to say things to you that say, "Oh, well," and you're wondering, is it from God? After you're seeking him on a regular basis, you know his character and you know when it's from him. So he says, "Come to me," and then listen. So listen when he's telling you something. When you realize, yes, this is from God, then you listen, because it may not always be what you want to hear. Believe me. Believe me. Because sometimes we have our mind set up to do something regarding certain situations. And then the Lord tells us to do something totally opposite for that same situation, because we don't see things through the same eyes that he sees them. So, anyway, that's number two. Two and three. Number four, in verse 13 of Psalms 34, it says, "Keep your tongue from evil." Keep your tongue from evil. Um, watch what we say. Watch, we have to participate in our healing by making sure we stay away from things that could put us back to whatever it is that we are coming out of, what the Lord is trying to bring us out of. And keeping our tongue from evil is to not sit around and talk about evil things with people, or talk about people, or when we do those kind of things, when we make an effort not to be in company with people who are like gossiping or talking bad about other people, when we participate in that stuff, it it's it this is a great controversy. So the devil is after us, and our angels, the Lord is after us. So we have to make our atmosphere one that is inviting. And we just do. And when we stay in uninviting atmospheres and stay in the atmosphere of the enemy, that's just going to um, impede or interrupt our healing. Um, here's so that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Number 5, depart. This is verse 14. Depart from evil and do good. So that's 2. You have to, it's the same thing. You have to step away from evil. Once once I started getting back to the Lord, I realized, and this will probably happen to you. You may realize, or has happened, you may realize that some of the things you were participating in that you thought weren't so bad were not what God wanted you to be in. They were not godly. Okay? And once he tells you, because you're listening to him, because you are seeking him, and you are understanding his voice, and once he tells you and you realize he's saying you need to depart from this and do good, you need to go a different way. Sometimes that was hard for me, and it's like a daily thing. I'm seeking and seeing what the Lord is telling me to do and not to participate in. So you just have to really ask the Lord to give you that. Tell him that you. What I do is I tell him, I do surrender my choices to you. I read that in a book once by a Christian author, and I just surrender my choices. So when you're telling me, when I have a choice to make, because he gives us choices, and you're telling me to depart from this and do good because this isn't good, I pray that I am obedient. Okay. And then another one is and also in verse 14 is seek peace and pursue it. So we're seeking and pursuing. So we're going after it, always going after it. We put our minds on that instead of on other stuff that we used to put our minds on that kept us, um, sad or lonely, or even if our physical situation hasn't changed, if we are committed to seeking peace, which Jesus is peace, right? If we're committed to seeking Him and we pursue peace, then it's going to envelop us, and it's going to indwell in us, no matter what goes on around us physically. Okay, so that was just a few of the CTAs that I wrote down. Another one I did write down was verse 17, cry out, because I'm one for crying out. I mean, it's a good thing I live by myself because I'll cry out in a minute. Um, it says, the righteous cry out, and the Lord hears and delivers them out of all their troubles. So cry out when you feel like, even if you feel like you're not seeking him and you don't feel like seeking him, or you're tired, because that's how I feel sometimes. I'm just like, I'm so tired. I have to cry out and say, Lord, like the psalmist says, or David says in one of his psalms, he says, bring back the joy of your salvation. And I had to cry that out, because cry out those words, because sometimes it's tired. It's fatigue. It's physically tired. And that affects your brain, and you're just mentally tired too then. And he just wants to hear whatever's going on in our lives. He wants to hear how we are feeling. Yes, he knows, but anybody down the street, if somebody walking down the street knew us, and all they did was, we didn't do anything with them, but for some reason they knew us, and um, they just could look at us and see what we're going through. That's not a relationship. You're not with this person and conversing with this person and trying to get help from this person. If it's just this person that just just say that there is such a person who could like just walk down the street and and see what's going on, know by just looking at people what's going on with them, but that's kind of weird, but you're not having a relationship with them. Even though they know, they're not going to do anything about it. The Lord wants to do something about it. He knows, but when we tell him, then that's part of our relationship. A relationship involves having conversations, right? So, um, so the so one of the things that, lastly, I was in Ecclesiastes, and I was still thinking about what this man said about the importance of his speech about nothing. And I was in Ecclesiastes 11, chapter 11, verse 4, and it was talking about it. It says, the will, he who observes the wind will not sow, and he who regards the clouds will not reap. And then in verse 6, it says, in the morning sow your seed, and in the evening do not withhold your hand, for you do not know which will prosper, either this or that, or whether both alike will be good. So I read that, and that struck me that, the Lord is saying, you don't know. Stop looking around at everything that's going on, the winds, the clouds, um, I hear this is going to happen or that's going to happen when the Lord tells you to do something, he's saying, just do it. Don't sit and do nothing. Just do it and leave it to him. Leave everything to him. We do not look at things through the same lens as he does. We just don't. And things may look to us one way, like just like the children. Okay, like the children of Israel when they left the Egypt and they got to the Red Sea. I mean, that's a really one of the main ones I can think of right now. They got to the Red Sea, and it was a Red Sea. It was huge. It's huge. And the Lord is going, move forward. And you're like, what? How are we supposed to move forward? We can't see the way he sees. He is like, I created the sea. I created the ground under the sea. I can move it. I can move the ground under the sea. I can move the sea however. I can do whatever I need to do. I'm just telling you to be obedient and don't sit there complaining, doing nothing. And believe me, I am not saying that what you're going through is nothing or is something that, you know, I'm not trying to downplay that because I've been there. I've been there. And the devil is always trying to get me back there. So I know that. I know. What I'm saying is the Lord, the Lord loves you, and he has his love letter, the Bible, that he tells you to taste and see that he is good. And after years of him coming after me and wooing me, or and trying to woo me because I was being very disobedient and very anyway angry, I finally sat down and and tasted, and now I see. And I just want to share that and spread that encouragement that there is hope. There is hope. And if you get your Bible, I don't have my Bible here with me now. I mean, it's on the other side, but I wrote down all my scripture. I usually like to have it. But um, don't worry about how things look on the outside because God is trying to get in on the inside. And once he gets in on the inside and the foundation is set, um, The outside is going to look very different to you. Very, very, very different. Believe me, I have been there. Even during the dark times, because I was, like I said, eh, he was trying to save me when I gave him that last chance because he knew what was about to come on my foundation. He knows what's coming on our foundation. So that's why he wants our foundations to be secure in him because it's it's a great controversy, and if you read the Bible, you see that things are going to get worse before they get better and before he comes and takes us home. So um, once we get our foundation in Him, talking about having joy, even during dark times or during times that you just don't understand what's going on, but you trust Him because you know He knows what's going on and you choose to trust Him. Took me many, many years to use that word, trust Him, and to actually say it, not just out loud, but to Him, saying, I trust you. Things change and you do get scales taken off your eyes and you start to see more like he sees. And even when you don't, you accept that he knows the end from the beginning and he has your best interests at heart. Because I never used to think that, but he does because he's love and he can't be anything else. Okay? So don't listen to any other voice that says anything other than that. Okay? So I just want to share that with you today. I hope it encourages you or someone you love. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And thanks for listening and thanks for letting me pour into you. And God bless you. I love you all. And yeah, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. You can always leave a comment. Let me know what you think and all of that, you know. All right, I have this new, um, I have a new get up for my phone, so I'm trying it out now. So I hope it works. All right, take care, you guys. Love you.